Ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of England, former Empress of India, defender of the faith, head of the British Commonwealth of Nations.
My dear subjects, it is with mingled pride and sorrow that I stand here on this historic occasion. Today, it is my proud duty to bestow upon your country my government's precious gift of independence.
Here, here.
This is not the first time that I have visited your great city of New York. My husband and I remember with warm affection our visit of a few years ago.
Here, here.
Then, as now, I saw, hear echoes. Then, as now, I saw here echoes of our own treasure store of traditions, commercial, cultural, political, and constitutional. I saw them wherever I looked, in the east, in the west, in the north. Now it is 1963. And you have continued to progress by leaps and bounds. Perhaps one day soon you may even be able to stand alone, entirely without the prop and support of Mother England. Should that time come, remember your debts to us, just as we have looked after you in the past. Look after us in the future. For God's sake. God bless you all.
Tonight we have with us Mr. Peter Thornycroft, the British Minister of Defence, who's been in the Bahamas having discussions, particularly, of course, with Mr. Robert S. McNamara, his opposite number in the United States. Mr. Thornycroft, these were important discussions, were they not?
What?
Sir, the discussions you had were important.
Oh, yes, very important.
I mean, coming as they did, they were the first time that the two governments had met since the Cuban crisis.
Well, yes, of course, it must be remembered that we, having, as we do, a special relationship with the United States, we in the British government were in the fortunate position of being informed in advance of the Cuban maneuvers.
Really?
About 3.5 minutes in advance, but we were informed. We were informed in advance through the good offices of the CIA.
Yes.
The Cuban Invasion Agency. But it was really more on defence that Mr. McNamara and I had our prolonged argument. There's no use concealing the fact that there were enormous differences of opinion on defence between the British and American governments.
Yes.
Differences of opinion of a kind which must inevitably exist from time to time between two equal partners in a great military alliance.
Right.
But eventually we reached the only form of agreement which I think it was possible to make under those circumstances, whereby Mr. McNamara put forward his government's point of view as forcefully and clearly as he could, and I agreed with it.
Exactly. Now, sir, I believe that the Skybolt missile was a bone of contention between the two governments.
Well, yes, of course. The Skybolt missile was Britain's only real guarantee of independence as a major nuclear and military power.
Yes,
it was, of course, an American missile paid for by American money, but it did seem to be our only guarantee of independence as a nuclear power. And the Americans decided to scrap it.
Did they?
Completely, yes, because it was frightfully expensive for them, and they couldn't make it.
Quite.
Another obstacle. I mean, this came as an enormous blow to the Royal Air Force, as you can imagine, because we'd been rather depending on having it, you see, for the Royal Air Force, and for that purpose, we specifically developed our fleet of delta-winged V-bombers.
Oh, I know, those peculiar triangle-shaped things.
The Vulcan IIs, yes, and, well, now, since we haven't got the Skybolt, we've got nothing left to do with our Delta Wing V bombers.
Yes.
We could possibly stick them upright in the ground and use them as road signs.
Yes,
Apart from that, it's all difficult.
Yes, exactly. Now, so how do things stand at the moment, then, sir?
Well, I mean, of course, the Americans said that they would continue developing Skybolt if we paid for it.
Yes, quite.
A matter of $2.5 or $3 billion.
That's a lot of money, sir.
Well, it's only reasonable, I suppose. After all, if we are going to be America's first line of defence, it's only fair we should pay for it.
Oh, that's fair. You have reason.
And it must be admitted, that the Americans have paid for the whole of the development costs of the Skybolt up to the present time.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing has been borne by America. The RAF, who are going to be benefit by it, haven't paid a single penny.
No?
Not a penny. They said they might.
Yes.
Later on.
Quite.
But extremely doubtful.
Really?
Extremely doubtful. They haven't got any money. I mean,
Well, that's the trouble.
I mean, what Sir Winston Churchill said about the Royal Air Force during the Battle of Britain still holds true today, very much, I think. Never was so much owed. You know.
Yes, he said that. Quite. Yes, he did indeed say that.
Master of words.
Master of words, indeed, sir. So, what's going to happen now, sir? What exactly the situation?
Well, we of course we are. We're not being left stripped absolutely naked. We are going to get the Polaris.
The Polaris.
Later on.
When?
In the early 1970s.
Yes. Quite a gap, of course.
Well, yes, I suppose so, yes. We could have it now, of course, the Polaris. Oh, we could have it straight away, the Americans are, but we won't take it. We've got nothing to put it in.
No.
And so we're thinking of developing our own thing to stand, to cover the gap.
Yes, right. What is that?
The so-called blue steel.
Oh, yes, I've heard of it.
Blue steel,
yes,
which a very good missile of our own. It has a range of 150 miles.
Really?
Very useful weapon. So if there's any trouble in Scotland, by God...
So there things are at the moment. What are the Americans using at the moment? I mean,
the Americans have got their own thing, of course, now. Yes. The Minuteman, which they're producing in large quantities. Yes. The Minuteman, very good thing. It was, as you know, only a matter of weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, perhaps it was a month, it was put on full operational status with the United States Army for the first time at a big ceremony which was held underground somewhere, where they packed bottles of champagne over it.
Did they?
It went off, as a matter of fact. Yes. They were awfully pleased by that. It was the first successful test firing they'd had in 2 years. Yes. But that's why they're going to have the Minuteman ground-to-sea guided missile, as they call it. They're so called because they fire it from the ground and a minute later it plunges into the sea.
Yes. So discussions are still going on in a technical nature now. I presume Europe must have cropped up from time to time in your discussions.
Well, we're very fond of Europe, you see. It does crop up. You see, the point is, it's all part of a rather larger global design. I mean, it's quite difficult to put into perspective. But
try some.
Well, you see, it is the job of a British Minister of Defence, such as myself, to peer about him from time to time and see where all the trouble lies in the world. And one night, I remember very vividly, I was sitting in the House of Commons listening to the Prime Minister making one of his speeches, and it came to me in a dream that the greatest problem in Europe was, of course, Germany. And within Germany, Berlin itself.
Berlin.
Now, in the summer of 1961, as you probably read in the newspapers, the East Germans, cunning devils as they are, rather stole a tactical march upon us by building across the middle of Berlin a wall, which is in some places 8 or 10 feet high.
As high as that, is it, sir? I had no idea. Now, that's fiendishly clever on them, is it not?
And this, of course, completely knocks out our missiles.
Oh, of course it does.
I mean, they simply haven't got the height, you see.
What are you doing about this, sir?
Well, we're having to rethink completely,
and
of course. And we are developing a number of new techniques to combat this situation.
Such as, sir?
For example, the so-called ladder technique.
Oh, what is that?
Which involves placing the ladders against the wall and carrying the missiles up and throwing them over on the other side. Largely a manual affair.
Quite. How's this coming along, sir?
Well, this is only in the drawing board stage. And so we have a lot of men standing on drawing boards and throwing them over. They haven't rather stand like that.
Same principle, exactly. Now, sir, what would you say has been the main British contribution to the Berlin situation?
Well, faced with the menace of the war, the British, with our characteristic genius for simplicity, are concentrating our attentions on the gates.
Oh, I see.
Filing the skeleton keys, things of that kind. Now, of course, there are only a few of these left along the length of the wall where access between one sector and another is possible.
Quite.
And the most important of these gates is at a place called Friedrichstrasse, which
Friedrichstrasse, I've heard of that.
so-called Checkpoint Charlie.
Charlie rings a bell.
Well, that's where we're concentrating our attention. Yes. A lot of very nasty incidents have been occurring there recently.
Is that so, sir?
Now, it would be of enormous help to me if I had a map of this area, which I could look at.
You'd like a map of the area, sir?
Very much, yes. I mean, I have one of my own. I'd like one to show
Sure,
these
you've got people stupid on me. I misunderstood you, sir. No, entirely. Now, I think we've got a map here, sir.
I'd like to explain the tactical situation around Friedrichstrasse with the aid of this map, which they've got.
Just 1 second. I'll stand up here, sir. Then I think you'll be able to see better. Now, there's your map.
Oh, thank you very much. This is on rather a small scale, isn't it? This particular map of Friedrichstrasse.
Yes.
It is the world I'm looking at, isn't it?
Yes, I think that's a world, sir. Yes, it is. I see the equator going right the way through there. Yes, that must be the world.
Well, thank you. Now, Friedrichstrasse is... Oh, it's here.
Oh, there it is. Jolly good, sir. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Good. Very good.
Good God, isn't Russia enormous?
Yes, it's huge. It's huge. Yes, all that. Huge, very, very, very big country, sir.
I always thought it was rather tiny, Russia.
No, sir, no. That's us, the small one. They're the big one. And with China on the other end, it makes an enormous land mass, all full of chaps. Like the map again, sir?
I never want to see that again, as long as I live. Oh, God. Well, where were we? We were talking about...
Where were we? We were in Friedrichstrasse.
Friedrichstrasse, exactly right. Now, as you can all see from the map,
yes,
Friedrichstrasse does present to us the most enormously difficult tactical problem.
Yes.
Well, what we in the British government have decided to do is to follow the example of President Kennedy and throw up.
Sir?
What?
And what?
Throw up a blockade.
I'm so sorry, sir.
Throw up a series of roadblocks, you see, around this area, forming a kind of quarantine, very similar to his very successful
Cuban run
quarantine. And what we hope to do, you see, by the use of this quarantine around Friedrichstrasse area, is to prevent the devilish Russians ferrying into eastern Berlin supplies of offensive bullets, which we know they're doing. Now, of course, defensive bullets anybody is entitled to, even the East Germans. But we do take the gravest possible exception to offensive bullets, and we are going to weed them out.
Are you, sir?
Weed.
Yes, quite. Now, sir, how do you tell the difference between these offensive and defensive bullets?
Well, that's going to be our big problem, of course.
I can see that.
I believe that the offensive bullets have O marked on them, and the defensive bullets have D. And the most offensive bullets of all have "This is for you, Jack" written in particularly small letters, you see, but clearly visible through the low-flying reconnaissance aircraft.
Exactly. Now, sir, just to return to the Cuban situation for 1 second, if we can, please. Why do you think that Mr. Khrushchev capitulated quite so quickly when the president asked him to take his bombers off the island?
Well, I mean, it's a turning point in history. I think because he'd been told, you see, through private diplomatic channels, that if he hadn't have done so, Mr. Kennedy really was prepared to unleash the ultimate deterrent.
Really?
That is to say, he was prepared to release Major General Walker from hospital and put him in charge of a shooting match.
Indeed, it would have been, sir. Just one last question, Mr. Thornycroft, if we can, please.
Certainly, yes.
What do you think the president's next move will be over Cuba?
I'm rather afraid it will be over Cuba, but I don't know. He's actually said his main policy is still to consider ways of heaping even more degradation and humiliation upon the head of the mighty dictator Castro.
Really? Now, how will he do this? It's difficult, is it not?
Well, certainly it'd be much simpler if Dr. Castro were a Negro. They could just persuade him to enroll for a university here and have a...
Mr. Thornycroft, thank you very much indeed. It has been a great pleasure. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the establishment, and we present our second edition of our Window on the World. Now, all England has been shocked recently by the brutal murder that has taken place in a public park at Twickenham in Middlesex near London. Now, police have dragged a muddy pool and discovered the body of a middle-aged woman with her left arm and her right leg missing. Well, tonight we have with us Detective Inspector Alec Judson, head of Scotland Yard's murder squad, who is in charge of the case. Now, Inspector, what first made you suspect that the body had, in fact, an arm and a leg missing?
Well, we conducted what we call a limb spot check of the body.
What is that exactly?
Well, this limb spot check is essentially a numerical appreciation of the limbs found grouped about the body. And in this case, there were deficiencies.
There were?
Certain deficiencies over and above the normal degree of tolerance allowed by medical science.
I see, exactly. Now, what do you use for these limb spot checks?
Electronic computers, mainly. We had them brought into the area. Unfortunately, owing to the nature of the terrain around the pool, the computer sank into the mud, thus rendering their computing activities useless.
I see. So on what did you fall back?
We fell back on our hands.
Yes, I see.
And counted the limbs on the hands in a normal way.
I see.
In a old fashion.
Now, sir, Inspector, have you got any suspects at all? Have you been identifying any suspects?
Well, we've been working on the identification of the suspect through the wonderful method invented in Los Angeles called the identikit.
Now, what is it?
Well, the identikit is a wonderful police method, you see, invented there, by which you get descriptions via various witnesses of the suspects, you see, and you've got a lot of slides, you see, you project onto a screen.
Oh, you build up a composite picture.
And you build up a composite picture, you know, like eyes and nose, until you've got a composite picture of the whole thing.
Well, have you any suspects?
Well, we've been working on the identification with the identikit, and after a lot of laborious toil, we have built up an extremely good likeness of the Archbishop of Canterbury.
I see. So the Archbishop is your number one suspect at the moment?
Well, I wouldn't like to put it as strongly as that. All I can say is that he is the man that we've been beating the living daylights out of down the state.
But is he still your number one suspect?
No, I'm glad to say that the Archbishop, God bless him, no longer resembles the picture which we originally
Now, Inspector, just one last question, if I can, please. Is there anything at all that you wish to trace?
Yes, we particularly wish to trace a collection of 84 pornographic photographs onto high-quality tracing paper.
I see. Now, how will this help you apprehend the suspect?
Well, it won't help us apprehend the suspect, but it will give us a lot of pleasure down at the police station.
Yes, of course it will. Well, thank you very much indeed, Inspector.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we came over to America, we thought we'd like to do a bit of research, you know, and find out what America was like and how the political system worked and things of that nature. And as part of this program of research, we all went together to see Advise and Consent. And as you can imagine, you know, this was tremendously interesting to us because it showed us the real truth behind the scenes in Washington politics, the actual motivations which really produce American policy, blackmail and so forth. And we felt that it was a great pity that the British hadn't made this kind of film to show you. But since we haven't, we thought we ourselves would do a short scene for you tonight on those lines, which shows you what goes on behind the scenes in English politics when some great decision of far-reaching consequence has been taken. And so the scene tonight will, of course, inevitably include the Prime Minister here, Mr. Harold Macmillan, his deputy, Mr. R.A. Butler, whom I'll portray, and then coming onto the stage in a short time will be the Right Honourable Ian MacLeod MP, who is the leader of the House of Commons. That is, he performs roughly the same function in English politics as Walter Pidgeon apparently does in American politics. And so the scene is set at number 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister's office and residence.
Come in.
Oh, Harold, me old darling.
Mr. MacLeod, how very
Lovely
nice
to
to
see
see
you.
you.
Looking so well.
Do draw up a chair and sit down, if you will.
Yes, if I draw a chair up, then I can sit down.
Inevitably.
Yeah, listen,
Excuse
Harold,
me,
something I want to ask you, if I can remember what
Now,
the
just
devil it
before
was.
you actually get down to any kind of business, I wonder if we could quickly run over what you do.
What I do, yes.
For a living, you know.
Yes, for a living, indeed. Oh, how stupid of me, yes. I'm leader of the House of Commons.
Yes, well, I knew all the time it was only a joke, you know. I was just ribbing you.
Pulling my leg, weren't you?
Yes.
Listen, Harold, something I want to ask you, and that's this.
Yes.
Rumour has reached my ear that you've appointed a new foreign secretary. Now, right or wrong, eh?
Now, where on earth could you have heard such a stupid rumour as that?
Down at my club.
Did you?
Yes. Any truth in this rumour or no?
Well, insofar as I have appointed a new foreign secretary, I must admit there's a grain of truth within it.
Based on fact, in fact.
But insofar as I've done it, yes,
But listen, Harold, I'm the last person to tell you how to go about your business, as well you know, but I do feel you might have consulted us chaps about it.
Well, I'm terribly sorry, but, you know, I've been awfully busy.
Have you?
And besides which, I'm not getting any younger.
Yes, very true.
And I'd very much like to be able to shift some of the blame and the responsibility onto some younger shoulders. And I found these younger shoulders, and I've shifted.
Have you? Jolly good, well, tell me, who is he?
The foreign secretary.
Yes, I know that, old fellow, but who is he?
Well, you know, the man that arranges the United Nations, for God's
Harold,
sake.
don't be so dense. I know all that, but what's his name?
His name?
Yes.
Ah. But I'm afraid I've forgotten his name. For the moment, I...
Stumped you, have I?
Yes.
Don't worry, I expect it'll come home to you soon. What are his qualifications?
Oh, none at all.
Splendid, that's all.
Well, at least I believe he was with Neville at Munich.
Oh, yes.
He was one of these people that helped to wring that agreement out of, you know...
Oh, what the devil was the little fellow's name?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, he's been politically dormant since then.
Hitler.
What?
Hitler.
I'd never appoint him, did we?
Hello?
Come in.
Ah,
Mr. Butler.
How very nice standing here, looking so well and healthy in your new suit.
I've something to tell you. Something very strange has been happening to me recently. I've been going down to my office once or twice during the last month, and every time I get there, I find some anonymous person has been sending an extraordinary collection of photographs through the post. Very strange things. I mean, I don't know who sends them or what they mean or anything, but by every post these things arrive. I have enormous piles at my office now.
Well, Reb, yes.
And I brought one or two around to show you here because they all have a sort of message on the back saying, show these to the Prime Minister, he might be interested.
What are they photographs of, old chap?
Oh, well, they're all rather the same thing. They're of this old man in the nude here, you see. Surrounded by a lot of young boys also in the nude.
Now, the old fellow seems to figure largely in the entire series, does he not?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's nothing to do with me so far as I know, but I do seem to be able to recognize this old fellow's face.
You'll never believe this.
Thing I ever heard in my life. Will you shut up, please? It's my story.
Well, you tell him, Harold.
You see, what happens is that when you came in to show me these filthy things, I was just about to tell you that I've just appointed this fellow Foreign Secretary.
What about that? Isn't that rich? Absolutely rich.
Well, it's a small world, I must say. Look, actually, the only thing is, Harold, that if you have appointed this man Foreign Secretary, have you realized the full implications of these photographs?
Well, obviously, there's something that I didn't know.
Well, exactly. He's an old puff.
He's a bit drop-handed.
One of these faggots that the French...
Exactly. I mean, we have to think about this in terms of public relations. I mean, look, to put it at its most basic, if you announce this appointment today, this afternoon, the press are going to want to have photographs to publish in all the newspapers. Now, take it for example, you wouldn't give them those.
Why not?
Oh, Harold, look at the bloody thing. The Times would never publish a thing like that. Don't be so stupid. What do you think we should do, Rab?
We'll have to get some others.
That's right.
it. Only good. Well done. Easy. Very clever. Then I'll tell you what to do. Ring him up and tell him to pull himself together. Tell him to be a bit more masculine like us chaps.
Yes, very good. Tell him to cut down on all the effeminacy in his public appearance and tell him to take a grip on himself, for heaven's sake.
As opposed to those young lads in those photographs.
Hello.
Hello.
No, sorry. This is the PM speaking. Now look, Prime Minister. Look here, a rather extraordinary collection of photographs has arrived on my desk showing you cavorting about in the nude with a lot of young Boy Scouts. Well, I don't mind. It just seems to me that now you're Foreign Secretary, you ought to do something about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, pull yourself together and try and appear a little more masculine.
That's it.
And less effeminate by the same token.
Quite right.
Will you do that? Will you? Jolly good.
Yes,
But And come round later and show us how you're getting on, will you? What? Yes, well, goodbye then, and give my love to your mother. Goodbye.
Listen, though, chaps, one thought has occurred to me. We might be in rather deep water with our American cousins across the ocean, might we not, if they get wind of this? They do feel, I believe, that if a chap is a homosexual, he's also a communist, and this might be a bit tricky.
Well, that's a bit naive, isn't it?
Yes, I dare say it is. They haven't had the benefit of our public school education. They don't understand about it.
No problem. I don't think there's any problem here. All we have to do is we must subject him to a very rigorous security check.
Grill him, do you mean to say?
Exactly, grill him. Subject him to the same kind of thorough, exhaustive security screening that we subject all our people to who are working on secret material. I mean, Burgess and McLean and Fuchs.
Dear
and
boy, lovely faces.
We simply, go up to the man quite openly and say point blank, are you or are you not a communist?
No, I'm not.
Not you.
I'm not a communist.
No, you're a nice old
I'm not.
man.
No, I'm not a communist.
Stupid old idiot he is.
Not you. We didn't mean
We
it.
didn't mean you.
I may be liberal, but I'm not communist.
You're not even liberal, for God's sake.
Now, don't you think that's...
Yes, but who's going to ask the question? Very embarrassing thing to have to ask. He mustn't ask it. He's the last person to do it. What about you, Rab? Do you mind doing it?
If you back me up.
I'll back you up any way you like to go, but I think it's very embarrassing thing to have to... Hello?
Come in.
Prime Minister, good morning.
Ah, you know, MacLeod.
How do you do? Jolly nice to see you.
Butler.
I've seen your picture in the papers.
Yes, well, you sit down. Sit down. Yes, it. Jolly God. Well, congratulations, on your appointment, and also, if I may say so, on your appearance. You've done jolly well, I think.
Yes, I think you've done awfully well. Really well.
Thank you very much. I must do something about my hair. But
Yes. Introduce you to my barber.
Nevertheless, jolly good.
Jolly good.
Right, thank you.
Splendid. First class.
Thank you.
Yes, rare.
Oh, yes, sorry. Since you're here now, there's something I've always been meaning to ask you. You're not by any chance dedicated to the violent overthrow of the British government and its replacement by the international communist system, are you?
no. No.
Well,
Jolly good. Let's go. Get down there.
Charles? There's something I've got to tell you now. I tried to put it off, hoping against hope that I was wrong. But I've been to the doctors and had all the tests and everything. There can be no possible doubt about it any longer.
What's the matter, Penelope?
Charles, this isn't a balloon I've got under here. That was a silly deception of mine. It's a living thing, darling. We're going to have a baby.
Not a balloon? What do you mean, not a balloon? You can't be serious, Penelope. Do you mean to tell me you haven't been getting up every morning and getting hold of a balloon and blowing a little more air into it each day, then putting it under your sweater, as you tell me?
No, darling. I know it was silly of me to pretend, but I didn't want to worry you. It's quite definitely a baby.
Yes, well, Penelope, I'm rather busy at the moment, so perhaps we could talk about it later on, if you don't mind.
But Charles.
Now, oh. Look, darling, let's try and get this settled once and for all, can we? It's not a baby, it's a balloon.
Now, you've come here to audition, have you?
Yes, that's right.
Now, can you read music straight off the sheet like this?
Well, I'll try.
Well, could you sing that for me, please? I'd be very
Yes,
grateful.
certainly.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Go ahead, in your own time.
Yes, all right. You say potatoes and I say potatoes. You say tomatoes and I say tomatoes. Potatoes, potatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. Let's call the whole thing off. You say pajamas and I say pajamas. You say Bahamas, and I say Bahamas. Pajamas, pajamas. Bahamas, Bahamas. Let's call the whole thing off. I'm awfully sorry. I just don't see what's wrong with this relationship.
I see. Well, thank you very much. Well,
Yes?
Oh, good morning. Do you have any lodgings of any kind?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I have.
Oh, that is good. I'm a student of the London School of Economics from Nigeria, and I'm hoping to be lodging with you.
No, I'm sorry. No coloured. No coloured in my house.
Oh, dear.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's not because of the neighbours or anything like that. It's me, I'm prejudiced. Yes, I like that bit too.
oh, so did I. Yes, it was wonderful, wasn't it?
Well, here we are, John.
Say, this is where you live, is it?
Yes.
Gosh, yes.
Well, thank you so much, John, for a lovely evening. I really did enjoy it so much.
Well, thank you, Eleanor. It really was a very stimulating evening for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you, no.
It was awfully sweet of you to see me all the way home. How are you going to get back, though? It's nearly 1 o'clock.
Well, you know, I can walk, you know.
Where do you live, John?
Lambeth, as a matter of fact.
Lambeth? Good heavens, I didn't realise. I mean, I can't possibly let you walk all that way home.
Well, you only had some.
Well, look, why don't you come upstairs and I could ring for a minicab or
Well,
something.
that would be tremendously good of you, and I could borrow that book at the same time,
Oh, yes,
couldn't
of course, the Iliad, wasn't it?
Yes,
I'd
it
forgotten
is.
all about it. Shall I lead the way?
Yes, well, up you go then, yes.
Here we are.
Gosh, what a marvellous place, isn't it? Huh?
Oh, do you like it?
Very much indeed, yes. The record player and the books I see there.
Yes,
So.
I love to read.
So do I, you know, books, you know.
Newspapers, too.
Yes. Yes.
I used to share a flat, but it's so much nicer being on one's own. You know, one can really be one's own mistress and everything.
Yes.
I've never planned for that cab, have
Here,
I?
there's plenty of time, innit? We've only just got here, really. Gosh, what a lot of books. Simone de Beauvoir, I see there. Doris Lessing, yes. Theodore Reich.
Have you read any Martin Buber at all? He's a German philosopher. He writes
Yes,
a lot
of course,
about
certainly,
relationships, you know, between one human being and the next.
And the next, quite.
There's a wonderful essay of his where he says that lovers even don't talk to each other so much as at each other in a kind of perpetual self-glorification. Do you think that's true?
Yes, I do, certainly, yes.
I'm so glad, because I think it's terribly profound and searching. And
Fantastically searching, yes. In fact, I think it's the great thing about Martin Luther, don't you, that he managed, you know, you know, how can I put it, sort of, within the Protestant religion, you know, I mean, he managed to do away with this terrible sort of Catholic. You're not a Catholic, are you? Neither am I, anyway. But it does seem to me that the ghastly thing about Catholicism, and the reason I'd never subscribed to it, you know, it's rather like a magazine in that respect, don't you think? But in their philosophy, it seems to me that there is man and there's God, and sort of in between is this awful sort of, I don't know, sort of miasma, you know, of romantic love, don't you think?
yes, I do. Yes.
And simply, it seems to me so stupid, you know. I mean, if two people are attracted to each other, I mean, why on earth can't you just go up to each other and say, you know?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, for example, you're an attractive girl, you know, and I'm an attractive man, I suppose, you know, and why don't we go to bed? I mean, that's the...
Well, yes, of course. I mean, of course, that's how it ought to be. But
Yes.
somehow it never is. And,
No,
well, it's so silly, really.
stupid, yes, isn't it, really?
Although, in fact, what you're saying isn't strictly true.
Go on, yes.
Well, it's just, in fact, a man can go up to a girl and say that.
Yes.
But a girl, you know, poor thing, just has to sort of sit and sit and well, wait, really.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I suppose that's true, you know, up to a point, yes.
Where are you going for your holidays this year? Have you decided at all? Is it...
Well, I'm still sort of hovering between Portugal and Poland, in fact. It's really just a question of visas, you know. Whichever one I get first, I suppose. They're quite difficult to get, in fact. You know, I was surprised.
Yes, I've always been surprised. It's very tricky there. Yes.
Are you going away at all? Or
Yes, I'm going to Sweden, as a matter of fact, yes.
Sweden? No, red.
Yes.
That's
So cough it up, you know.
I went there last year.
Really?
Yes. Oh,
How wonderful! Now, that's tremendous. How,
oh, gosh.
How terrific.
Actually, what we were saying before, you know, about relationships.
Yes.
And there, the whole thing is so frank and open and easy.
Yes, it's one of the reasons I'm going, actually. You know,
Really, yes. I mean, for example, they have these wonderful places in the open air.
Do they?
You know, with tables and so on.
Yes.
And you can just be sitting at one of these tables, and one of these wonderful blonde men will come up and ask you to dance, and you dance and talk, you know, and they all talk English, which is marvelous.
They do, don't they? It's extraordinary.
And I mean, they will say quite openly, without any of this awful sort of, well, you know.
Yes, I know. Yes, quite, yes.
Will you come to bed with me?
Yes.
And you know, you could, you know, if one had wanted to.
It's a great place, Sweden, I think, you know.
It really is.
I mean, honestly, to think of an experiment on that scale is so fantastic, don't you think? Actually, funny enough, I really feel I know something about Sweden, you know, apart from reading about it and listening to Sibelius, you know, I've actually been corresponding with a pen friend for about a year now, you know.
Really?
Is this correspondent, he's a Canadian at the university, and he's told me such a lot, you know, about the social mores and this sexual thing, you know, which is so important. Actually, he told me one story. I think you may love this, because in fact it does sort of reflect upon this whole business. He said apparently that last summer he was going to a party in Stockholm, you know.
Oh, well, yes, I was...
And at any rate, there are going to be lots of broads there, you know. And he actually went so far before going to the party as to get hold of an orange, you know, just an ordinary sort of domestic orange, you know, and stuffed it into his fly, you know. I mean, fantastic thing to do. And just imagine this great bulge, you know, really fantastic thing, I thought. Amazing. Walking about, you know.
Fantastic.
It really was. Fantastic thing.
There's some oranges over there. I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right. No,
I mean, would you like one to eat?
No, thank you. No. Not because, you know, it's simply that I don't like citrus fruits, you know.
Not everyone does.
No. Well, I think I better be off, you know.
Oh, must you?
Yes,
I suppose you must.
I think I better wend my weary way back to Lambeth, you know.
Well...
Oh, gosh, it was tremendous, you know, it really was.
Your collar's a bit...
Sorry, no.
Sorry.
Cheap suit, you know.
Oh, it's very nice.
Well, anyway, we must do this again sometime, you know, and really sort of paint the town red, as they say.
I'd love to.
Actually, I do have some seats for the cinema, which my boss passed on to me, and he's going away, and I wonder if you'd like to come, you know.
You haven't said when.
Sorry, no, it's about 10 days' time, I think, you know.
Oh, yes, marvellous, yes.
Tremendous.
Do you know what the tickets are for?
And I believe it's some sort of festival of Yugoslav cartoons, I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll sleep well, anyway, you know, and keep cool, as they say. And I'll be seeing you soon. Well, thank you again, darling, and goodbye.
Bye.
Sports report. Soccer. Next Saturday's big game is the top-of-the-league clash between Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur. And tonight we have in the studio to comment on the outcome of this match, Jomo Kenyatta. Would you like to stick your neck out and make a prophecy? Come in, Jomo.
Yes, I shall be perhaps the first Negro man to be Queen of England.
No, Jomo, what I really meant was a prophecy on the outcome of the Spurs-Manchester clash. Odds on draw, do you think?
I'm already consolidating my effective position as the first Negro Prime Minister of Great Britain and shall soon be rushing on to the assuming of even more gigantic powers as the Queen.
Well, that is extremely interesting, Jomo. But what our listeners are really keen to know is whether you think that Super Spurs can make it 2 in a row for the league championship.
It's no use thinking that the grabbing of state control can be achieved without the gutters and streets washing about in a bit of white man's blood. What I have in mind is collecting together vast quantities of the poison spears, creeping about in the night with them, and then swish whoosh, suddenly hurling them into the living quarters of Buckingham Palace, where the Queen will be receiving them in the fleshy parts of her body and toppling from the throne.
And Jomo, do you think that the Spurs' continental-style retreating defence system can stand up to the thrustful play of the Manchester wingers, Kennelly and Harris?
So it will not be long before I'm appearing on the balcony of the palace, dressed up in the crown and the ceremonial skirts of the Queen, waving and shouting to the crowds below. And all the Negroes will be singing and jumping about in the streets and firing the cannons and grinning and plunging the machete knives into the Grenadier Guards.
And do you think that the quick-tackling Manchester wing-holes can hold Spurs ace goal grabber Jimmy Green?
Naturally, there will be a lot of high spirits about among the Negroes and the Iron Queen, and I dare say you will be seeing a few white heads rolling about in St. James's Park and them places.
And Jomo, can the experienced Manchester left-half setters keep a grip on the educated feet of Spurs master forward, inside right, John White?
White? How did he get into the team there?
Well, Jomo, he is a Scottish international, you know, and universally recognised as one of the greatest inside forwards in our
Oh, don't
game.
give me that stuff, man. He got into the team on account of prejudice because of his name, and therefore he will be for the guillotine and the firing squad and all that business.
Well, Jomo, I think you'll find that White is a very common name.
Not in my tribe.
So you don't see much hope for the elegant aristocrats of White Hart Lane in their bid for the title?
I don't see much hope for anybody when the thousands of black men I'm smuggling over from Kenya arrive and start laying about them with their poison spears. Especially when I'm the Queen and shall be acquitting them in the courts and thrusting all the cockneys into the jails instead.
Well, listeners, Jomo does seem more interested in his plans for the domination of Britain than in the Spurs-Manchester clash next weekend.
That is so, yes.
More power to your elbow, Jomo.
Thank you.